TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. The Islamic Republic of Iran launches a demonstrative retaliatory strike on the U.S. al-Udeid airbase in Qatar. U.S. President Donald Trump brokers a ceasefire between Israel and the Islamic Republic of Iran. Iran murders 4 Israelis early this morning in a ballistic missile attack on the city of Beersheba. U.S. President Donald Trump's efforts to reach a ceasefire between Israel and the Islamic Republic of Iran still holds, despite the Ayatollah regime in Tehran failing to rein in its Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps. In the lead-up to the announced ceasefire, Iran's Revolutionary Guards launched multiple ballistic missiles toward the U.S. al-Udeid airbase in Qatar, in what U.S. officials have told TV7 included a pre-coordinated retaliatory strike by Iran over America's Operation Midnight Hammer, which included the destruction of the Islamic Republic's Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan nuclear installations.
At exactly 7:30 p.m., information was received from the surveillance and control system that 7 missiles had been launched from the north and northwest of Iran, hitting and targeting the Qatari al-Udeid airbase. Air defense batteries were directed and dealt with as they entered Qatari airspace. All of the missiles were shot down at sea before they could reach Qatari territory. Immediately after, the base al-Udeid was targeted with 12 missiles. 11 missiles were shot down on Qatari territory. 1 missile fell on al-Udeid airbase in an area, thank Allah, with no casualties.
In response to the pre-coordinated attack and in contrast to Washington's unequivocal threats, warning Iran not to target U.S. installations, U.S. President Donald Trump released a statement in which he thanked Iran for giving the U.S. early notice and highlighted his hope that Iran would proceed to peace and harmony in the region, which he pledged to enthusiastically encourage Israel to do the same. Meanwhile, less than 2 hours later, President Trump announced that it had been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that a complete and total ceasefire would take effect by 4 a.m. GMT plus 3, essentially ending the 12-day war.
Following the directive of the political echelon, the ceasefire came into effect this morning. As of now, I can say that the IDF has fully met all the objectives defined in Operation Rising Lion. The Chief of the General Staff instructed the IDF to maintain a high level of alert and readiness to deliver a powerful response to any violation of the ceasefire. This includes an emphasis on maintaining high operational pressure and readiness across all fronts and along all borders. Israeli Air Force fighter jets struck dozens of military targets in Tehran throughout the night, deploying more than 100 munitions. In the strikes, we once again hit the SPND headquarters building, which is used for the development of technologies and weapons systems for the Iranian regime. Additionally, we inflicted repeated and severe damage to the military manufacturing infrastructure in Tehran.
The Israeli Air Force continued to degrade Iran's ballistic missile launchers overnight, and while the ceasefire was expected to take effect, the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps blatantly breached the ceasefire less than 3 hours later, launching a salvo of ballistic missiles on multiple occasions across Israel, including in the southern town of Beersheba, where a direct hit of a residential complex of buildings claimed the lives of 4 people and wounded 22 others.
In western Iran, this morning we identified preparations for a missile barrage toward Israeli territory and operated to thwart and disrupt the threat. We struck 8 launchers that were ready for immediate firing. Even at this moment, the Israeli Air Force is maintaining aerial readiness for threat removal and rapid offensive actions. Before the ceasefire came into effect this morning, about 20 missiles were fired from Iran toward various locations across the country, most of which were intercepted. IDF Home Front Command teams, rescue forces, and security personnel are currently on the ground, providing a response in the impact areas. Unfortunately, there are fatalities and wounded at the impact site in Beersheba. Several individuals were rescued alive. IDF Home Front Command, rescue forces, and security forces continue to search the area.
Israeli President Yitzhak Herzog visited the location of the residential neighborhood that was struck by the Iranian ballistic missile earlier today, during the course of which he voiced deep sorrow for the loss of Israeli lives.
We have arrived here again in Beersheba, which, as we recall, was severely damaged a few days ago when Soroka Hospital was directly hit this time, in addition to the hospital that was damaged. A kindergarten was very badly damaged, a school was damaged, a residential neighborhood was damaged, and to our terrible pain, we lost 4 innocent civilians who were murdered by an Iranian Qatar missile, which is one of the heaviest missiles. The Iranians have over 400 kilos. We see the destruction here and the heavy price we are paying, but we must remember that this is an opportunity to say that the Operation Rising Lion was a great success. We removed the Iranian nuclear threat for a significant period. I do not yet know how to analyze all the results exactly, but there is no doubt that this operation has great achievements.
It is important to know that after the deadly missile fire that was launched by Iran early this morning, the Islamic Republic repeated its blatant breach of the ceasefire by yet another salvo of 3 ballistic missiles that were directed toward Israel's north, to which President Herzog stated that while Iran breached the cessation of hostilities, he remains hopeful that the ceasefire would ultimately hold.
Regrettably, Iran violated the ceasefire this morning in a deliberate manner. I assume that the responsible authorities will make decisions accordingly. I hope that we will eventually return to a ceasefire so that we can all see a better horizon and life in the entire region.
Meanwhile, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz, in coordination with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, announced that he had instructed the IDF to forcefully respond to Iran's violation of the ceasefire against terror targets of the Ayatollah regime in the heart of Tehran. Nevertheless, Jerusalem's top defense officials' pledge to respond to any breach of the ceasefire was short-lived. While Israeli aircraft were reportedly underway, President Trump released a statement demanding Israel halt its retaliation. Moreover, in remarks to the press before boarding a helicopter, President Trump voiced outrage over its ceasefire violations.
You know what? We basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
It is worth noting that President Trump was apparently under the impression that both Iran and Israel violated the ceasefire. Nevertheless, TV7 verified that Israel had not violated the cessation of hostilities. Rather, President Trump's frustration stemmed from the intensity and scope of the bombardments which Israel had prosecuted before the ceasefire took effect, significantly degrading the Islamic Republic's RGC, Basij, and other terror institutions that essentially caught the Ayatollah regime by surprise. Meanwhile, in an interview with Fox News, Vice President J.D. Vance voiced confidence in the outcome of the American strike over the weekend on Iran's nuclear infrastructure.
The president, without, knock on wood, having a single American casualty, obliterated the Iranian nuclear program. We are now in a place where we weren't a week ago. A week ago, Iran was very close to having a nuclear weapon. Now, Iran is incapable of building a nuclear weapon with the equipment they have because we destroyed it. So that's a very, very big thing.
Vice President Vance further highlighted efforts by the Trump administration to figure out a path to a comprehensive solution to Iran's nuclear program.
we have to talk to Iran and, of course, to Israel about what the future holds, because while we have obliterated the Iranian nuclear program, our hope and our expectation is that they're not going to try to rebuild that program. And I think that's what the president is really trying to figure out here, is to build a long-term settlement here to where we can have peace in the region, where our regional allies and, of course, the American people, most importantly, can be secured, but where we can ensure that the destruction of the Iranian nuclear program that has already happened is not something they try to rebuild.
While the Trump administration voices both determination and confidence in thwarting Iran from achieving nuclear weapons capabilities, Iran's Atomic Energy Organization emphasized that it will never stop pursuing its nuclear program.
They should know that this industry is deeply rooted in our country, and they cannot eliminate a national industry like this. Of course, they have inflicted damage on us. This isn't the first time the industry has been targeted. There have been similar incidents in the past, and we immediately repaired the damage. Given the capabilities and capacities we possess, this industry must naturally continue and grow. It will not be stopped.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. Please pray for the hostages in Hamas captivity, for Israeli, American, British, Finnish, French, Australian, and other service members operating in the region. And also, as ever, please pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.